Hello my friends, this is now Lakshmi here with Be Your Best Self inspiration to become, live, be your best self, because we are elevating humanity for a better world. And exciting times, right? Exciting times. I always love the feeling of it's so tangible. The universe is switching gears, things are moving and shifting, and it's palatable. And I talked about that last week, about the universe was getting ready to shift gears. And we've been in this potent, powerful, and intense energy of 5 planets in retrograde. So we down to 3. Yay! Mercury went direct last Sunday. We still feeling, we talking about 3 planets in retrograde. It's no small thing. And we looking at Mars, Pluto, and Saturn that are still in retrograde. So especially Saturn and Mars, those are just 2 very big, powerful forces that are operating in retrograde mode. So I'm going to talk about a few things today, and also in preparation for this new moon that is coming and next week, and just wild, super wild ride. But we'll get to it next week. The focus on this for this video today, I really want to talk about, I've got all my notes here as well, Mars in retrograde, and the emphasis on the masculine and the feminine, with Venus going into Gemini, and Mars is still in retrograde until the end of June. But not only that Mars in retrograde, on the 27th, today's the 25th, it's a Wednesday, so in a couple of days, Mars is actually going to retrograde back into the sign of Scorpio. So right now it's retrograding in Sagittarius, and it's going back into Scorpio, where it's going to be in Scorpio for a few weeks. And what does that mean? Mars in retrograde is powerful energy to begin with, and a lot of what we've been experiencing is the reevaluation, rethinking and redoing, but mainly rethinking and really understanding more. There's more clarity around what we really desire, what we really need, our needs, our desires, our primal needs, and all of that is represented by Mars. And there has been a big emphasis in relationship. Mars and Venus were actually opposing each other. We had the full moon a few days ago, and there was an opposition. And I've got to say, ladies and gentlemen, that right now, and it's not from like a superior place or anything like that, the feminine is in a more expansive place. It's in a more powerful place. Venus in Gemini is very light, is very social. There's clarity, there's understanding of facts, knowing what's happening. Gemini rules communication, also speaking, listening, anything to do with exchange of communication. And Venus is in that sign right now. So there is an emphasis on communicating, on more listening, on receiving more of the information that is coming in just more of a feminine way, more receptive, more open. And like I said, it's also very light and social in the sign of Gemini, and Venus is very close to the sun, and we're going to have a conjunction of Venus and Sun in Gemini, which is just a lot. The sun is our awareness, and when Venus and the sun together, really beautiful aspect of lots of new awareness, new understanding, new clarity coming in when it comes to our finances, and when it comes to our relationships, to our how do we love, how do we desire to be loved. And on the other side of that, we are looking at Mars, and it's kind of like, when I feel into it, there's like, oh, poor Mars kind of thing, because it's in retrograde. First of all, Mars doesn't like to be in retrograde. We're looking at the warrior. We're looking at the action planet and the fire planet that wants to just go and soldier and go through it all and just move forward. And now it's in retrograde. Again, it's the masculine, right? The Mars represents our masculine energy and not necessarily in the best position when it comes to being in retrograde. Now, Mars goes in retrograde every 2 years. So it's very significant as well, because we're looking at a new cycle in the next couple of years of the masculine energy, of the Mars being in direct motion. But for right now, it's being asked to just slow down. All this masculine, go action, forward, just do, think later, do, don't think at all, just destroy and go for it. So that attitude is not really, it's not going to fly anymore. And that's what's happening with this Mars in retrograde, that reevaluation and rethinking, okay, do I just move forward with all of my desires and instincts and primal instincts, and especially when it comes to sexuality and when it comes to relationships and when it comes to how do men relate to women, how does the masculine relate to the feminine, what is the relationship there? And so much of that is being reevaluated by women and especially men. And here is one of the biggest pieces of this message is for you men that are really going through it right now, and I know a lot of you have been feeling it. The masculine, and going into Scorpio, it's deep. Scorpio is depth. So a lot of men are facing with deep emotions, with deep feelings, with maybe feelings you've never even felt before, never even knew there was access to those feelings and emotions. And also going back to old and deep wounds, the backward movement of Mars in retrograde and into the sign of Scorpio, the depth and the emotions. A big piece right now is about intimacy for men, because Scorpio also rules intimacy and that intimate connection with another, not just on the surface. Nothing with Scorpio is on the surface. So the masculine men, but also women, just in general, we are all looking at our intimacy and wounds that are connected to our intimacy, fears when it comes to really be intimate with somebody. And it can be a partner, a lover, a friend, or even just your parent. But what really intimacy is, and what are my intimacy needs? What do I really need? What do I desire when it comes to intimacy and really being close with somebody? And a lot of men, again, are looking at the fear of intimacy, the fear of really uniting with somebody, really merging with somebody. That's another thing with Scorpio, is the merge. And the retrograde movement is just slowing down and not just soldier through and not just penetrating. That's the thing with Mars in retrograde and in Scorpio. Let's just take a moment before we go forward, before the penetration. And you can look at penetration in many different directions, energetically, emotionally, physically, that less emphasis on that, but where does the penetration comes from? We're looking more at the emotional aspect and the spiritual aspect of union between one and another person, and the whole concept of intimacy. And there's a lot of wounds that are being looked at. There are a lot of wounds that are being felt. And again, especially all of us, especially men, there's a little bit more emphasis on the masculine right now, being in a slower movement pace, in this introspection mode, and getting more clarity of how to move forward with this new awareness, with this new information, with this new feelings, emotions, new perspectives and perceptions. And it's a beautiful time of healing of the masculine, and also the masculine understanding what the feminine is all about, what women really represent beyond just the beautiful package of an attractive woman, what what is the attraction is all about, and what is the feminine power that we are so yearning to have as women and as men, and understanding more on a deeper level, understanding the power and the healing power of the feminine when it comes to our individual journeys, when it comes to our individual lives. But then let's take it on the bigger picture of also just the masculine on a bigger scale, understanding everything that has been done to the feminine, if it's women and if it's just planet Earth, and this whole like penetration, and I'm just gonna do and think later. How does that, how can we relate that to what's happening on planet Earth, and that dominant masculine energy that we've been living in for so many generations? So you've got to understand that there's a lot of healing being done with Mars in retrograde going into Scorpio, into the deep waters, going to be there for a few weeks, and things are still going to be coming up. A lot of feelings, a lot of emotions, especially for you men. So I really want to encourage you to let it all flow, let those emotions flow, and allow yourself to receive the feminine right now in a new way, and just relating to one another in a new way, that it's not just about desires and instincts and attraction, but there's something deeper than that. There's something so healing about that, and let the feminine just come into your life. Men and women, all of us, let the feminine come into your life to heal and to bring so much clarity, to bring so much grace, and allow yourself to receive that. And we're still looking at what's happening today, that Saturn is squaring Jupiter, and I spoke about that last week. I'm going to remind you again, there's some hard decisions that we are looking at, that in order to expand our belief system, in order to really step into your truth and living it on a physical day-to-day basis, there's some hard decisions that need to be made, and letting go of certain beliefs and certain structures and way of being. Like, this is who I am, this is what I believe. And especially when it comes to our sexuality, our desires, how do I relate to men? For you men, how do I relate to women? The deep desires and relationships and intimacy, how does it look like for you? And there's some maybe hard decisions that need to be made in that area when it comes to relationships, when it comes to certain situations and structures in your life. So yeah, those are definitely big moments and big times of so much transition and shifts. And that's why I'm here sending you so much love and so much light, and thank you for everything that you do and everything that you are. If you are interested in a personal reading with me, please go to my website, www.noalakshmi.com, and find your reading, soul signature reading, to really give you a deeper and a better understanding of your own individual journey, and especially with everything that is happening right now. I love you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Stay awesome, stay beautiful, and be your best self. We are elevating humanity for a better world. Sat Nam.